Hey everybody, and welcome back to Hello Dev World. Today is day 10 of 365 days of coding. If you don't know what that is, every day of 2021, I'm going to be posting a challenge on my blog in the morning and a solution to that challenge on my blog and on YouTube later in the day. If you would like to get those challenges in your email in the morning, I'm going to put a link in the description down below to sign up for that. Today is part 3 of making a sign up form. Today we're going to format our phone number and we're going to add validation for our phone number and our email. So let's get started. All right, now that we're back at the computer, let's get started on our validation. First things first, let's format our phone number. A lot of this is going to come straight from the phone formatter video that I've done in the past. I also have a blog post on it. I will put a link to that blog post down in the description below, and I will put a card for the video somewhere up here. So I'm not going to go super in depth into what this is doing. You can check those out if you want more information on that. We're going to add an on blur, and that on blur is going to call a function that's going to format our phone number. What an on blur is a function that gets called when somebody goes away from the input. So when you click on an input, it's focused, and then when you click out of that input, it's blurred. So an on blur just triggers a function when someone clicks out of your input. So every time someone clicks out of the input, we want to format the phone number if we can. You can make this formatter a little bit more specific. You can start formatting as they start typing on if you want to do it on a key up or a key down. You can also partially format for them on Blur. I'm only formatting if there are 10 numbers, but you can make it more specific if you would like to. So let's add our script tags. And this is JavaScript for the page that will get executed at some point. It's just a way to add JavaScript to the page. I'm not creating a separate JavaScript file because we only have one function for this entire thing so far that we will have JavaScript for. Later on, depending on OAuth, we might move that to a JavaScript file, but for now we're going to keep it here. So we're going to check if there was an input and check to make sure that it was a number. Otherwise, we don't want to format it because our regex won't pick it up anyways. We're also going to check the length. So if there was no input, the length could fail. So we're going to make sure that it's not undefined or null. And we're going to pull the input by its name just to make it easier. It's the only thing on that page with that name. The class that's on it is on all of the inputs. So if we did that, it wouldn't be easy to pull. We know that is the only thing with this name. So we're just going to pull it by the name. And get elements by name gives you an array. So we're going to take the first one, which is 0. Indexes are 0 indexed. And we know this is going to be the only one. We know this is the one we want. So we're okay with this. And we're going to set the value to that input. And we're going to do a dot replace with some regex to replace it with a format that we want. Again, if you want more information on how this works, check out that blog post or that YouTube video for the phone formatter. And I totally got ahead of myself and forgot to add the on blur. So let's do that now. We're going to add an on blur attribute. And that on blur is going to call our phone format that we just built. To pass the value of the input, we're going to do this dot value. This references that input, and then the value is the text that's within that input. So if we save this and we go to our form and we refresh the page, if we type in a couple of numbers, it's not going to do anything. But if we type in 10 numbers, it should format it for us. And there you go. So we have the format we want. Let's add the validation that we need. We already have these required tags, which will make sure that something is in that input when it is submitted. Otherwise, it'll say, fill out this input or something like that. This is built into HTML. This is why I wanted to add those form tags, because when you submit a form, if you have those requireds, it automatically does this for you. It also has this really nifty attribute called pattern. And what that does is when the form is submitted, instead of having to do a JavaScript listener or preventing default having the form not submit until it passes all your validation, we can actually put a pattern in here to check that it matches that validation. So we care for our phone number that it's 10 digits and it has those dashes because we want it to be formatted. And for the email, we care that it's a valid email. We care that it has something before and after an @ sign, etc., etc. So if we put those regex patterns in, which is the validation we would put into JavaScript anyways, this HTML attribute will handle that for us. This pattern is a regex pattern. I'm not really going to go through it because regex is a whole nother beast. If you want me to do a video on it, I can, but I'm also going to put a link in the description down below to a really great site that teaches you regex and allows you to test your regex that you're writing. So I already have this written out. I'm just going to paste it in here. Now, if we save that and go back to our form, press refresh. And if we put some test data in here and we don't put in a proper phone number, it'll say to please match it. And it will not let you actually submit it until it matches. Once it does match, we'll be able to submit that. Now we're going to add the pattern attribute to the email as well so that we can make sure that it's a valid email. And again, I already have this written out. I'm just going to copy and paste it. Save it. Go back to our form. We go back to our form and press refresh. I've put some test data into here so that it will pass the validation to get to the email to validate. And we put a test in here. It'll say it doesn't match the requested format. Even if we put an @ in here, it'll also say that. It will check that it has an @ symbol, something after the @ symbol, and at least 2 things after a dot. So now if we do that, now you can see it passed this validation and got to our phone number validation. This is all I had for the day. I hope you enjoyed this. I'll put a link in the description down below to the repository so that you can check it out. I'll also put a link to the blog post that I wrote on this. Make sure to hit subscribe and hit that bell notification so you don't miss the rest of the series and you don't miss any of the challenges for the rest of the year. And I'll see you tomorrow.